E-commerce is the greatest business opportunity of our generation.
What is up, people? Welcome back to another episode of the Ecom Unlimited podcast. It's your boy Kaj back in the virtual studios. Got my co-host here back with me.
What's going on, everybody?
We are seven-figure sellers that have been on Amazon since 2017, which is crazy to say because we're not that far away from having been in business for a decade, which is wild because it feels like we're still learning so much, but we do also have a lot of experience. Today, we are going to be talking about what our process looks like when we start working with new brand partners. So right now it's the beginning of February in 2025. And actually over the last few weeks, we have been working on onboarding 3 new brand partners, all of which we're very excited about. So this is something that we're currently in the process of. We already have some brand partners, but since we're fresh in onboarding some new ones, we kind of just wanted to share that process with you guys and what that looks like. So that way, you know how to do that if you're partnering with new brands. And if you're a brand listening to this, you know what it'll be like working with us. So Josh, why don't you take the first couple points and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. When you start working with brands, I think the first thing you're going to want to do is educate them on your business as a whole. All right. Understanding, let them know and understand that you buy at wholesale prices, reselling on online platforms like Amazon, Walmart. Kind of go through the whole list of what services you can provide for, that business relationship. All right. And then from there, once they kind of have a good understanding of that, they're going to identify their top 2 pain points. All right. Brands have multiple pain points on selling online, and you are their greatest asset to fix any problem that they have so that they don't have to worry about it and they can go work on continuing to market and other business ventures that they may have as well. All right. So some of the pain points we have seen are there are too many resellers on the listing, and that causes, usually a tank in price, or what we call in the wholesale world a map violation. There are bad listings with bad images and descriptions that affect their ability to, improve their sales. It's actually their ability not for their product to be primed. We see a lot of products in the fulfilled by merchant category where, potentially their sales rank is suffering because they do not ship their products into Amazon so that they can have prime on their specific product. Other things that they might not have is no storefront and A+ content, no running of ads, and potentially we have seen, which is on the rare side, but potentially a company that's struggling in the cash flow area, you can really help them out there. So there are a ton of different ways that you can help the business, but you definitely want to identify the first kind of few main points that they're going to have. They may have a lot of struggles, but you're here to solve their top 2 pain points and at first, and then kind of work your way down the list. All right. And so that's kind of how we work through that. And it comes with just a lot of communication. And Kaj, you know a ton about communication because you communicate with these brands all the time. What does that look like on a daily basis? Do you talk to these brand owners every day? Is there a certain time frame that you want to make sure that you're checking in with a brand? How does that usually go?
Yes. So especially in the beginning, right? Communication is so important because you're building a new relationship and you're establishing trust. And so new brand owners will often have a lot of questions, and the better you're able to answer those questions and show how you will provide a solution to them, and also being honest, right? Not over promising, not promising them the world, because people can sniff out hyperbole or you just trying to say that you're going to do something just to close the sale. I think a lot of brand owners appreciate my honesty and setting their expectations. Like I do, like saying like, well, I'm not sure if we're going to 10x your sales overnight, because some brand owners, they get really excited. They're like, oh, like if you take over, are we going to go from 10,000 in sales to 100,000 in sales? I'm like, well, that could happen. Will that happen in 3 months? Probably not, but like I think based on what your product's already doing and what changes we'll make to the listing, we can probably get it to this point. So being honest in your communication, but also answering their inevitable questions. And so all of those different pain points that you said, they'll normally have different questions about that. One is like, okay, you kind of explain, we buy product wholesale and then we resell, and that's how we make our profit. But in most cases, we don't charge a fee to improve the listings or something like that. So often in the beginning, when we're talking to brands, it's kind of hard for them to wrap their mind around that concept because they're used to most people who improve their listings or do these types of things being an agency. So they're expecting us to charge them a monthly fee, which a lot of smaller brands just are not able to afford. So once they kind of understand the model of, okay, like they're going to buy inventory from me and then handle the rest. And once that clicks, then they're a lot more likely to want to work with us. Other thing as well, kind of on the topic of just building trust, if it's a situation where a brand maybe was handling their Amazon presence themselves, I've noticed it's very difficult for them to want to give that up, even if they know that they're not doing a very good job and they believe we can do it better. Sometimes just letting go of the control is difficult for them, just because, the brand is their baby, which if I was in their situation, it would be the exact same way for me. So again, just making sure that there's that constant communication, showing them that we're eager to work with them, that we believe in their brand and that we're actually able to help them. And then the next steps for that to actually be able to help solve their pain points that you were mentioning is getting us in their brand registry, and if necessary, also enrolling them in the transparency program and the exclusivity contract as well. So sometimes brand owners, they can be excited at first, but they still have some hesitancy. So once it actually comes to either signing the contract or to giving us access to their brand registry, where like the rubber actually starts to meet the road, there can be some hesitancy there. So again, just constant communication, following up. I make sure that, not more than like a couple business days goes by if they haven't responded to one of my emails. And I don't want to be annoying and like blowing up their phones and inbox all the time. But I do want them to know like, hey, like if I sent something and you agree that you would send me something back and then you're ghosting me, like you're going to keep hearing from me until we get to a resolution, because I'm taking this seriously. I want to work with you and I'm going to be professional in the way that I communicate. And that goes a long way. I had one brand owner, this was probably one of my favorite compliments I've ever gotten. He was like, Kaj, you are relentless. I wish if you would stop working for your company and come help grow my brand. I'm like, well, we could do that if you would just let me buy your product. But just having that, constant communication and honesty goes a long way.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that we do just in the onboarding process is introducing them to our team via email. So copying in our ops manager and an inventory manager. And I also like to create a shared Google Drive folder with us and the brand, just where we can upload images and update it, listing, title, description, bullet points, all of that stuff. So that way they can see it and review it. Because as soon as we know that we're going to be working with a brand, I have our team start updating the images and start updating the titles. And we found that once we send brands new images, especially if their current images are terrible and they see the new images, they're like, oh my gosh, these guys are awesome. These images look great. And then that helps them want to work more with us and speed up their communication. But just doing those little things and starting out the gate like that on a positive note goes a long way in showing them that we're going to be good partners for them for the long term.
Gosh, I have a question. What is the longest, duration of time that you kind of, they kind of verbally committed and said, hey, we're gonna, get you into, the brand registry, and you were like, awesome, like fantastic. And then how long did it take for them to actually do it? Just so like the listeners have an idea of like, how long it can actually take and how much communication you do have to have with a brand owner.
Sure. Yeah. So I would say for us, longest right now is 6 months, maybe 7. I know that other sellers have been following up with a brand for like maybe a year or 2, even more. And when I say 6 or 7 months, that's like, I guess from close to the initial conversation, but within a month of the initial conversation is when they started to say like, yeah, we'd like to work with you or get you in brand transparency. But they were not that he was lying or just saying that to say it, but there was obviously hesitancy there. So like the idea was kind of there, but he wasn't ready to commit. And so like, months of following up and just, carrying their product, but not working exclusively to now to the point where they want to work exclusively with us.
And
on the flip side, I would say the fastest one is 72 hours. So that was way better. I'd much rather have that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe Kaj misspoke there. He meant brand registry instead of brand transparency. So
those are two different things.
Yeah, those are a little bit two different things. But okay, interesting. Yeah. Yep. So again, you gotta stay consistent. You gotta be there for the brand, especially when they need them. And fast communication too. Like when they're emailing you, you want to get back to them, as quickly as possible, especially if you have the details and all that sort of stuff too.
Yes,
because that's only going to translate more when you guys work together too, and they're going to really appreciate the speed of that communication because they're pretty much used to potentially people ordering products and then never hearing from them again.
Yep.
And vice versa, where the person does keep kind of ordering the product and they want to make sure that they keep ordering. So
yep.
Yeah, that's interesting. So Kosh, we just got back from a trade show.
Yes.
Talk to us about that. Where did we end up going, and how was it?
Yeah, well, we went to the Great American Outdoor Show in Harrisburg, PA, which is an hour and a half from where we are. You and I are both close to Philadelphia. We went with the Wholesale Network crew, so we were about 30 deep, which was a lot of fun. Wow. It was a great time. We got to talk with quite a few different brands. We have a couple that we're following up with that are very interested in working with us, and I know some other members also talk with brands that they are hopefully going to work with as well.
It would be interesting to see in the group Discord if like how many closes the group gets from that, because I know there was a few potentials out there. So,
more than a few.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited to see, and especially there was a couple big ones out there too.
Yes.
So I'm excited to see what happens in the future and to see if we get any good fruit from that effort we put in, because we did put in a lot of effort that day. That was a long day.
It was a very long day. Yeah, driving up and back same day.
Yeah.
I feel like I lost the most energy when we were in the duck hunting.
Yeah. The noises were just brutal. That was fun. Yeah, that was definitely fun. I'm excited to go. I'm definitely excited to go to another one. Hopefully it's maybe a little bit more in our niche style. The All-American Great Outdoor was, I felt out of place. A lot of camo going around there.
a lot of camo and Bass Pro shop hats. Am I saying that right?
Bass. It's okay. Bass.
Oh, okay. Yeah, as you can tell, I'm not in the fishing category. Bass is a musical instrument.
Yes, it is. But that's okay. Yeah, like with all the guns and stuff, I got no idea what I'm doing. I think I shot a gun once in my life. So that was definitely out of place. But it'll be interesting to see what other ones are out there and to see if who else we can close this year through trade shows.
Yeah. But even like you said there, I'll just a quick point. Like even when you go to a niche trade show, 100% of the brands there aren't necessarily going to be that niche. Like the main one that we're following up with, they really had nothing to do with hunting stuff.
Which is kind of weird. I was kind of surprised that they were there.
I was thinking the same thing, but they were there.
They definitely felt out of place, but I mean, they were doing their thing.
Yeah.
So, and there's a ton of people there. What did they expect? Like 200,000
over the course of the week?
That building?
Yeah. So probably like 15 to 20,000 people per day.
Yeah. That's nuts.
Yeah. Which is just huge. And it was, I think, almost 1,000 vendors there.
It didn't seem like there was 1,000 vendors there.
I mean, if you think about the amount of halls that were there and like how closely packed together they were.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it sounds about right to me.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a huge success. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yep. And then guys, real quick on the topic of finding brands, obviously in-person trade shows are honestly the best way to go because you can just talk to so many vendors in person. But if you're not at a trade show, if you're not able to get to one or you're not ready to go to one yet, our favorite tool to use to find brands is Smart Scout. We talk about this tool all the time. I look at it pretty much every single day in our business. And I actually put together a guide on how to find brands, what to look for, what Smart Scout filters to use when you're doing this sourcing. And I linked that guide in the description of this podcast, totally free. So click that link, go through the guide if you're trying to find brands, and I am sure that that will be helpful for you as you grow your business.
Yeah, absolutely. Gosh, don't we have like a repricing tool that we use too?
We might have a repricing tool that we use too. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, guys, come on. SellerSnap. You guys got to get the best repricer out there. All right. It uses the most powerful AI-based repricer on the market. It wins the buy box and avoids price war and also increases prices, guys. Again, we can't keep saying this enough. We have products in which we have and a competitor runs out of stock. We have no idea the competitor runs out of stock, but guess who does? SellerSnap, all right? And this is how you Chad scale, guys. You can't be taking small profits. You got to be taking profits when they come to you, because this only happens every so often, but SellerSnap always has our back. All right, Cajua, what a great episode, guys. If you got value from this episode, give it a like and subscribe to Ecom Unlimited so you can stay updated on all of our new content, and we will see you on the next one. Peace.